Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today let's have a look at the, well, almost brand new Navigraph G1000 avionics plugin. I'm saying almost because by the time I'm recording this it is out for 2 weeks already. However, real life flying just kept me busy and I'm only getting to show it to you guys now. We're sitting in the DA40 enhanced with the realism mod from flightsim.to, and we are sitting at Aerosoft's Paderborn-Lippstadt Airport, which is great freeware for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and we're gonna fly this one over on a quick 25-minute flight towards Kassel-Calden. On that flight I'm going to show you everything that the new Navigraph G1000 avionic plugin can do and how you can make best use of it for your flights. We're also using the original Diamond procedures for the aircraft, and you can download the original normal procedures as well as the entire flight operations manual from the website of the airplane manufacturer for free, so that you've got quick access to being able to operate the airplane as realistically as possible. Alright then, let's hop straight into the airplane, go over a couple of basic details, and then we're gonna get flying. In terms of weight and balance, we're running this as 100% fuel, and we've got 2 people on board, bringing us to about 100 kilos below the maximum takeoff weight. Okay then. B4 engine start check. Pre-flight check complete. Baggage and tow bar secured. Fuel valve normal and secured. Power lever idle. Parking brake set. Alternate air closed. Electric master off. Then avionic master off. Essential bus off. Alternate static is closed. Engine master off. Votor switch auto. Fuel pump off. All light switches off. Emergency switch off and guarded. ELT armed. Circuit breakers checked in. Flap selector up. Pitot heat off, fuel transfer off. Okay then, let's go. Electric master on, rudder pedals adjusted, passengers instructed, seatbelts fastened, rear door closed and latched, front canopy, position 1. Then G1000, power and acknowledged. Okay, that's alternator fail, pitot heat off, that's checked. Okay, MFD on the engine page. So, fuel quantity is checked and full. Total time and service noticed. Power lever is on idle. And then let's go ahead with a startup. So, anti-collision lights. Well, we don't have one in this plane, but we can use the strobe light as a replacement. Is on. Now let's go ahead with the engine start procedure. The prop area is clear. We've obtained our IFR clearance. And then let's go. Engine master on. Annunciations are checked. So, glow indication off. Start key. Let's go. Shall we? Okay, start. And then we've got oil pressure outside the red within 3 seconds. That is checked. Voltage, electrical load indications checked, annunciations and engine instrumentations are checked, and that's the engine start procedure complete. Okay then, after engine start check, oil pressure checked, engine RPM 710 plus minus 30 checked, circuit breakers all in. Pitot heat, let's go ahead and check that one. So, pitot heat on, and checked, pitot heat off again, and avionic master on. Okay, now we can go ahead and do our FMS setup, and that is where the Navigraph plugin comes in for the very first time. Okay, so we're gonna start right down here on the flight plan, and if we scroll on the small knob, we can now change between the active flight plan and the catalog. And going to the catalog, we can see that we've got our latest couple of SimBrief flights available over here. So Paderborn to Kassel, that's the one that we plan to do. I'm gonna press the activate button down here. And activate SimBrief flight plan, yes. Now the flight plan is imported, and that's it. Now in case you're wondering why the en route part is empty, that's because the end point of the SID is already the point where we're going to start the approach, and therefore is the entire route we have. Okay then, let's go procedure, select approach, and we are planning on the ILS approach runway 27 at Kassel via the Warburg initial approach fix. And for now we are simply going to load this one in. Yes, thank you. And now our route is looking good. So if we go out a little bit with the range, we can see our entire route of flight here as well. All of them as we expected. Okay then, from here let's go back now and let's go right into the Navigraph part of things. So this is all new thanks to the Navigraph update. By default it opens on the standard airport map. Now if you want to change, first of all up here you can change the airport if you wanted to, and down here then we can change between the different charts as needed, like so. We're currently standing up here on 8 Yankee, so taxi out is going to be straight and then into Golf, and then we'll go to the active runway. Now talking about active runway, let's quickly load the weather page, and up here we can get our latest meta. So 220 at 13, Carvox 16 degrees 1024. Let's go ahead and change our options here real quick then. So we're looking for 1024, like so, and the two altimeters are linked in this version of the plane. Obviously in real life they wouldn't be, but that is fine for me. Okay then, so the wind is from 220, that means looking at the flight plan we've got a runway 24 Warburg departure, that is totally fine. Then let's go back to the charts, departure procedure, and that is the SID that we aim to fly. Now let's quickly go ahead though and take the ANAV version of things so that we can compare it with what we've got in our box. So on here on the flight plan, let's have a very quick look. So on this one, let's just about go down a little. Finding that little click spot is a bit of a challenge, but once you got it, here we go. Okay, runway 24, Warburg 1 Whiskey departure, that's the one we have in here as well. And that's 1,100 feet, that checks. Then Lima Papa 205, and we've got that. 205, thereafter 202, and then Whiskey Romeo Bravo, which has now moved down here as we've just selected it for the approach. Okay, perfect. Initial climb clearance, altitude 5,000 feet, so let's go ahead and dial that in as well. Here we go. And that's that. Now what we can also do up here real quick is, if we go to the info page once more, then we've got a couple of frequencies down here that we can make good use of. So let's start with the ground frequency, 121.930, and by just clicking enter on here you can see it's switched onto the COM1 standby channel. So let's switch that active. And then we can already pre-select tower frequency in here, and that's it. Now if we quickly switch over to COM number 2, then we can go ahead and tune the ATIS, like so. And finally 1 to 1.5 as our emergency frequency. We'll tune that one as well, and with that we are pretty much all set up for our flight. Alright, so quick and easy, and really straightforward. Pretty much as straightforward as it gets, is it? Okay, so down here we can change around a little bit in the chart options. So in case you didn't see where I clicked, I went on here onto the chart option. Now we can switch between the different parts of the plan. Like if you go to header, you only get this one. Plan is going to get you the actual map, and then profile is going to get you that additional information that you've got down here. Also there's a minimum page that we have over here, where you can see, well, in case of our general airport chart, we got stuff like the takeoff run available, the takeoff minima, and so on. So that's the sort of information that we get on this particular chart. Now, today we're going to use the plan mode, because that is obviously what we can make best use of for our actual taxi. Okay, cool. So, runway 24 it is, when we'll be able to take intersection Bravo for the departure. Got about 1,000 meter runway from there on, which is absolutely all that we need. Okay then, with our, let's call it FMS, as Diamond actually calls it now, set up, let's go ahead and run the next part of our checklist. Next up is the autopilot test. And for that one, we are going to press the autopilot disconnect button and see if the trim works. Now you can't really see me check that, but I did. Then we're gonna go autopilot on. Autopilot disconnect button works. And finally the toga button, if only I could reach it. Well, let me see if I can reach that toga button with a little trick down there. So let's go down here. Alright, that's the toga button, and it engages in roll and pitch. That's gonna be good enough for us. Okay, cool. Then we are going to go for flight director off once again, and that's the autopilot test completed. Okay, flight light checked, on as required, position lights, on as required. Flaps, we are going to check the full treble. Like so, and then back into the toga position. Okay, altimeter set, standby horizon checked, transponder, let's quickly go for that one, which we find over here. So squawk 2000, standard IFR squawk, and we're gonna switch it on as well so that ATC can see us on the ground radar. So engine temperatures are now checked, and with that we can go ahead and start our taxi. Maximum power 50% until engine temperatures in green range. They're there already, so we are good to go. Also, let's go back and switch GPS mode active. Alright, ready to go? Parking brake released. We're going to start turning off to the right hand side. Flight plan can be closed down there. Let's go. Clear left side and clear right side. So brakes checked. Okay, clear left and right. Straight ahead onto the main taxiway, and then we'll go towards the runway and make our departure. Okay, clear left side, clear right side. And off we go. So, while we make our turns, instruments are checked. And with that, let's continue the taxiway Bravo, and then we'll make our departure from there. Okay then, Bravo next left, that's what we're gonna do. And here we are. Okay, just quickly gonna turn my airplane a little bit away from taxiway in case there is anyone behind, as we've got a run-up to do. Okay, parking brake set, then let's continue with the before takeoff checks. Parking brake set, seatbelts fastened, adjustable backrests upright, rear door closed and latched, front canopy closed and latched, door warning light off. Okay, circuit breakers checked, electric elevator trim checked, and takeoff trim is set. Yes, it is. Okay, flaps checked and takeoff, flight controls. Let's check them now. Okay, flight controls checked, power lever idle, MFD and engine instruments set to engine. So that's the one on the left over here. Is set to engine, and engine instruments checked. Now the engine temperatures must be in green range before performing the ECU test, and for the gearbox minimum 38 degrees is recommended, warm up at maximum 50% power. Okay, then let's go ahead and run the engine check. We're going to start with a voter switch, and we'll initially put it towards A. That gives us the ECU B fail. Now we're gonna go back to auto. And the B position apparently I don't know how to get it into. Okay, that's fine. Okay then, so that's working. Let's go ahead and run the ECU test. So press and hold the switch, and now the airplane is basically conducting the entire run-up automatically. So we've got the ECU A and B fail lights on. The prop is going to cycle 2 times at more than 1800 RPMs, and then the ECU A and B fail lights are going to go off. That's the lights we have on the caution panel there. Okay, and with the lights off we can release the ECU test switch, and that completes the run-up procedure. Okay then, continue with the checklist. ECU test performed. P2E, well, we are flying IFR, so we are turning it on anyway. It's on, transponder. So 2000 alt. Fuel pump. On. So, MFD is set as default, and parking brake can be released. Okay then, good to go. Clear on the approach. Clear on the left. Let's quickly go ahead and select our departure chart down here. So we go back, and now we go on to departure, and on here we get the chart we need. And once again, down here we can go into chart options and again switch this around as needed. So for example, we can say that contact lung radar after takeoff 122.255. That is so noted. So let's go up here, call the tower, and then we can pre-select departure frequency 125.225. Let's quickly go ahead and set that. Here we go, pre-selected. And now we basically don't need any of the stuff up there anymore. So what we can do is simply go onto the plan key down here, and now this simply focuses the chart on our departure chart. Also, we could, for example, go on to well, looks like that stuff isn't working on the departure chart, but I'll show you on the approach once again. So we just go on the plan down here, and that basically gives us our plan view for the departure. Now, what we can do, if you still want a navigational map, we can quickly go up here and, for example, initiate the HSI map down here, so that you still got a chart or a moving map available down here to your liking. That's just a small thing you can do. Also, we can enable the next red, that basically is weather radar, as well as traffic. And with that, this part is basically set up for what you can possibly ask for. Okay then, looks good to me. Then let's bring up the timer and the reference. We're going to pre-select that so that we just need to hit it by the time we line up. And that is this part complete. Okay then, cool. So as we line up, we are going to switch on the landing and the taxi light. Once again, approach sector is clear, runway is identified. And that is the landing procedure complete. Next up, we got something over here that they call the available power check, and that's basically for 10 seconds power maximum RPMs between 2200 and 2300, and the minimum load that you should have on the engine, that's the value up here on the MFD. The minimum load should be according to a table from the pilot's operating handbook, and that table basically shows us for our takeoff condition here, we're looking for a minimum of 96% load. Okay then, ready? Let's go. Takeoff. Timer started. Okay, we got the 96%. 100 even. Power set. 60 knots. Rotate. Positive climb. Don't have a retractable landing gear though, so we are simply going to leave it at that. Okay then, trim it out. Pretty much like so. Okay, we're at a safe altitude. Flaps coming up. And here we go, looking good. Okay then, at least 800 feet above the ground, which we are right now. Let's go for nav. And flight level change. And autopilot. Okay, en route climb speed, we're looking for 88 knots. So let's see if we can increase that speed a little bit more. Here we go, 88. Alright, then. Climb to cruise check. Flaps checked up. Fuel pumps off. Climb power. Well, we can leave it on full, actually. So climb power is set and the landing light is going off. And that's the climb to cruise checks complete. Right, so changing over to departure frequency where we get our continued climb, and we're going to flight level 70 today, so that is set. Don't need that anymore, and with that we are off and flying. So I'm using my chart down here to monitor the flight's progress as well as my navigation display. Now there's a few things that we want to make sure that we actually have when operating on a GPS flight plan like this. So first of all, up here we've got the our deviation bar. Now that one basically shows us how far off the flight plan we are. Next to that is the scale at which this is operating. So we're currently operating in departure mode, and that means that it's running to an accuracy of 0.3 nautical miles. And that 0.3 nautical miles means full scale deflection is 0.3 miles. So that is what we're operating on, and that way we can easily verify that we are operating on the route as we should. Now, on the right hand side here, I'm still comparing this to our departure chart and the overlay we have over here. Now, this is actually just the GPS position, the overlay. So, it's the same position we're using up here. However, it still gives me that little bit of a background, especially since currently we're operating on the GPS mode exclusively, so we're taking full navigation from the GPS. However, what we could do is have a look at the conventional overlay chart as well. So, if we just go back up over here, like so, then we've now got the conventional overlay, which gives us a little bit of background information. So, talking about this, if we quickly tune in Warburg VOR 113.7 on the nav radio, so let's put that on nav 1, 13.7, put it active. We can always use that as a backup for our navigation. So if we switch on the DME and the bearing here, like so, then we can now use that to verify that it is indeed correctly intercepting the radial inbound as per our SID. Okay, transition altitude, set standard. Standard cross-check passing flight level 52 now. Checked. Alright, and this we can basically use to verify our navigation, which is a rather easy way, and convenient way to do this. What you will notice as we are flying procedures like this, comparing the conventional and the ANAV charts, is that the conventional chart might show turns greater than the ANAV chart does, because, well, we are flying a pretty slow airplane over here, and that means that we can cut the corners a little bit quicker. But as you can see, the designers of the procedures have correctly figured that the turn radius in here might be a little bit out of their likings. By the way, 1000 to go. So they placed that little ANAV point over here, the Lima Papa 202, which on the conventional chart we basically don't have, as the conventional chart just says go straight ahead to, let's see where that is, 4.9 dm Paderborn, and then make a left turn, intercept the radial 268 inbound to Warburg VOR, so that's a bearing of 088 inbound. And like that we are verifying that our airplane is indeed doing all of that as it should. Now that is basically the way how we can use our departure chart, in my opinion, in the most efficient way. Now there will be others telling you different, and we've got Alt S and leveling off nicely, very good. And here we go. Okay, very cool. So with that we are leveled off. Now let's go ahead and reduce power just a little bit. We still want to go fast, but we don't want to go too fast. I'm going to reduce the load to something like 70%. I'll make it 75% actually. That is like what you have in most general aviation aircraft as highest recommended cruise power. So that is what we are going to use on this one as well. Okay, perfect. So we've got 20 miles to run to Warburg VOR by the GPS, and we've got the same on the conventional backup. Now, just a small word here in terms of GPS accuracy. You might see that on here we are not flying exactly on the chart. That is nothing to worry about. If there are small differences, then that's totally acceptable. Now, what you should, however, still do is do the conventional backup over here when you have one available, because the GPS is not 100% assured to be accurate at all times. So GPS can easily become inaccurate, and when that happens, well, you certainly don't want your GPS position to drift off. Now, at the moment I'm recording this, there is some happening in the Middle East and around Ukraine, where apparently there is some professional dithering of the GPS signal going on, leading to aircraft that are solely navigating on GPS, or on aircraft that are feeding GPS data to the IRS to update its position, like for example all modern airliners are doing, significantly drifting off track by, in one occasion, up to 80 nautical miles, 80 miles. And with the way how the modern aircraft work, where basically your GPS is used as a way to update IRS position, that can drift off your IRSs entirely, and then you end up on radar vectors because you just have nothing left to navigate. But that's just a small anecdote from what's going on in real aviation right now. So let's go ahead and move back to what we want to do with the G1000 plugin. So we're now established inbound to Warburg VOR, and as I mentioned, if we look at the flight plan, then we can see that at Warburg we can already start our ILS. Now, a few things for us to check. Let's first of all start getting the latest weather for Kassel, and the wind is 200 at 10, slightly variable, Kavok 15 degrees, 1025. So runway 27 actually sounds quite good to me. Okay, so I do suppose that we are going to go ahead and grab a couple of our charts. In terms of stars, there is really nothing over here at Kassel, so we can go straight to approach and start with the approach charts. Now, over here, once again, if we go into the chart options, we got several different options like the header, the plan, the profile, and the minimums, all of which we can access separately over here, even though they still form part of the same chart. But I do find it really nice that Navigraph have done this, because it does make access quite a bit easier over here, if you ask me. Okay then, so, by the way, if you've wondered what those two buttons on the left side here are, rotate counterclockwise, rotate clockwise. But I don't see me using those very often. What I do see me using, however, is those general parts of the approach over here. So we're going to start with a basic setup for our navigation, and the first one is going to be the ILS frequency 109.3. Now when you select the approach, it automatically puts that into the standby, but I've overwritten that with Warburg VOR here. But you can see that it's got active on nav2 already. Now what you could do if you really wanted to play around with it, if you just go back to the main pages over here and then fiddle around a little bit, I do believe it's in, yeah, if you just go down here, en route charts, by the way. But if you just go down here and scroll through the different pages, over here you can find stuff like VOR information and so on. And over there you could copy the frequencies out of. Now, I don't see myself using that too often, but you get the basic idea of what's going on. Also note the VNAV information that we've got available down here, which we are going to use a little bit later on. Okay then, in any case, let's go back to our setup for the approach. I'm just going to use the approach charts for this one. Okay, so, wrong button. Couple things to do over here. Obviously we got the show map button. This one would be used for safe taxi information, however that is currently not available in here. But for us, we just go back to the charts and here we go, back to chart. So let's start our setup. We've got 109.3 as ILS frequency, and I am going to pre-select that on nav1. I'll keep Warburg active for now, as we are still going to use that for the way outbound before we start our turn in. And as you can see, that's a routing from Warburg, basically outbound 18.3 miles. Let's quickly cross-check that in here. So we've got Warburg 18.3, then we turn final, center fix 10 miles out, then Latlu is like 5.2 miles on here and 5.4 miles to the ILS on here, so that's good enough for me. Let's see that a little bit bigger here. Profile, here we go. Latlu 5.4 versus 5.2. Now those 0.2 miles difference can be explained by the slant range. Keep in mind the DME is measuring this, while the GPS flight plan is going to show you this. So small difference there. And actually, if we do add that up, we've got 2.4, 4.7, 5.2. So there you go. If you take the distance from down here, then the 0.2 mile difference can be explained. Alright, so that is the check we've got in here. Then we can also have a look at the missed approach, which we find in the header. Let's climb straight at 5.6 Delta Kilo Sierra. And that is what we have in here, Delta Kilo Sierra 5.6. And then turn right on radial 131 Warburg inbound, climb to 4000. And we have that in here with Warburg as well. The only thing that we need to note over here is that we've got a direct track in the FMS flight plan. So this is 306, while this is radial 131. So the opposite of 131 would be 311. So you can see we've got a 5-degree difference in here. That shouldn't be, but that is so noted. We'll take that into account in case we actually have to fly missed approach. Alright, so frequencies are pre-selected. Final approach course, that is normally going to be set automatically. However, if we wanted to, we could just go to heading mode and pre-select the course ourselves. I'm not going to do that. I am going to trust the system to do it itself. Alright, the plan itself, this is what it looks like on our map, and then finally profiles that. Minimum 1002, so let's go ahead and dial that in. So, min, Sparrow. That's going to take a small while. So, 1002, we're going to take 1010 then. Thank you very much. Okay, cool. So, that is pretty much all the inputs we need over here. We can, however, just about switch off the... there we go. Switch off the VR speed. We don't need that anymore. Or we could switch that to the reference speed for our approach. Now, in terms of reference speed for the approach, we are looking today at approximately 76 knots. So, I suppose that's a possible way of using it if you wanted to. Like that. 76. Perfect. All we need. Okay, top of descent is coming up on the map over there. Over here, I mean. So we are prepared for that. And the last thing then to quickly look at once again whether we've got 1025. Okay, perfect. So that's pretty much all we need over here. Now, what we do, we could either stay on the approach chart over here, maybe go on to the plan mode in the chart options, or we could just switch to anything else. Doesn't really matter. Now, I'm going to stay on the chart over here to use it as a backup for my conventional navigation. As you can see, we still got Warburg active over here, and that is how we're going to fly that approach. Okay then. Alright, that was an indication to us that we're approaching our VNAV profile, 1 minute to go, so let's go ahead and get descent from air traffic control. So let's say they clear us down straight to, I believe it's 4,000 from where we're intercepting. No, 2,500. And on here, minimum en route altitudes, do we have anything? Not really, yeah? Yeah, 2,500, and then 3,000 up here to 80.3. So we're going to start going down to 3,000, and that's basically that. So VNAV is active, or rather VNAV is armed, I should say. And with that, we are all good to go to start our descent. Okay, so here we go. Vertical path has captured. We are capturing the VNAV path. Our target vertical speed is shown over here. Now, talking about the VNAV path, that is something that you can work on a little bit if you want to. Now, on today's flight, if we look into the flight plan option over here, you can see target vertical speed is for a 3-degree glide path, something around 900 feet a minute. Since we're flying unpressurized in this one, we can either just use that, but it shouldn't be more than 1,000 feet a minute really, or you can just change it manually and go maybe for a 500 feet a minute rate of descent. That is usually a little bit better for the passengers' ears and for your own ears as well, if we're already talking about it. That's just something to have in mind. You can change the VNAV profile if you want to, however, you don't necessarily have to, as long as the vertical speed over here is under control and you're happy to accept it. Small hint, if you've got a cold, you want to do maybe 100 or 200 feet a minute maximum, and in that case you shouldn't be sitting in that airplane anyway. Alright then, so we are descending. Let's go ahead and go to local QNH 1025. Here we go. Set QNH 1025, 1025 cross-check, passing 6,200 now. Checked. You will notice there is no feature in here to compensate for the change in altimeter setting. For that reason, when we went to local, it jumped off the path a little bit, and the airplane pitched down like it did. Okay, cool. So, fuel pump on, landing light on, and then we can read the descent and approach checklist. Landing data received, altimeter set, ComNav FMS set, seatbelts fastened, adjustable backrest upright, fuel transfer. So let's have a look. We're running likewise on both tanks at the moment. So, no need to transfer anything, even though we should have taken it mostly from the left side here. Well, okay, fuel transfer is as required, park and brake is checked, released, fuel pumps on, landing lights on, and that's the descent and approach checks complete. Okay, so last thing to do then, in terms of our checklist for the approach, is the before landing procedure, which basically states downwind, latest on base leg, flaps takeoff, on final, flaps landing, and that's it. So, make your life easy. And as we are going to fly a long final anyway, you can see airport is just somewhere over here already, so we're already flying abeam the airport. But as we're going for a long final, I am going to delay that flap extension a little bit until we can actually turn inbound. Alright. So with that, we are about good to go. You can see I didn't let the speed go up too far, keeping it somewhere between 130 and 140 knots. There's two reasons I'm doing that. The first one, we are flying through airspace class Echo on the approach, partially. As you can see over here on the chart, caution, intensive glider activities to be expected. IFR profiles within airspace class Echo, watch out for VFR traffic unknown to ATC. So, even though we are flying IFR, if there's someone coming from the right, we still need to give way. And if it's a glider, we need to give way anyway. So, for that reason, let's not go too fast so that we've got a chance to actually see and avoid something. 1,000 to go. Checked. Alright, and apart from that, The other reason I'm not going too fast, once again, is bird strike hazard. You can see we're flying over a wooded area for quite a while over here, so that's the prime area to find birds, and I certainly don't want to ram that bird all the way up at the red line. Chances are 130 knots is going to come through the windshield anyway, but we don't need to force it, do we? Okay, about to start our turn at 18.3 miles. That's 1.3 nautical miles ahead. Now, a quick thing that we can do up here, if we go to the airport chart, we can quickly go ahead and grab the ATIS frequency on COM2. Okay, flight sim ATIS doesn't work, obviously. And then we can go ahead for COM1 and pre-select the tower frequency. And you know what, I'm gonna switch that active already. It's not like we are using ATC anyway. Right, let's go ahead and vector ourselves in. Gonna go for heading mode here, and then let's go on a right-hand turn heading 180. Just because I want to use one more function. That's if we go on a procedure, then activate vector to final, thank you. You can see this has sequenced our flight plan and extended the center line, which is basically what I've been looking for. A small trick here, if you want to judge the distance that you'll need in order to turn final. If we go back to GPS mode, then okay, this one doesn't do it. Alright, I set nothing. So let's just stay in the localizer mode here, and that's it. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn to an intercept heading. That's gonna be 240. Here we go. 240 is pre-selected, and then we can approach mode. Localizer glide slope wide. The actual intercept happens from 2,500 feet, so might as well maintain 3,000 or go down 2,500. Both work. Now today, let's go ahead and go down. Vertical speed, 500 feet a minute. Should be all we need, really. Okay, localizer capture. I'm going to keep the speed up high on the approach because it just makes a little bit more fun. And we're going to start reducing at 4 nautical miles. And then for the missed approach, what I'm quickly going to do is tune the frequency of Warburg, because when we activated the vectors to final, that actually meant that the airplane would activate the ILS frequency all by itself. Okay, cool, so 13.7 is pre-selected on both radios. And actually what we could do is tune the Kassel DME 11.5 on NAV2. However, we don't have a DME associated with that, and that's totally fine. Now we could fly the approach on NAV2 and use NAV1 for the DME, but I really don't see the need for that. Because as you can see, we still got our GPS distance, and that is all we need. Okay, missed approach altitude, 4,000 feet set. Okay, about 4 miles out. And look at how well the airplane decelerates. That's amazing, isn't it? Lost 30 knots in like half a mile. Okay, flap for takeoff. Don't want to get too slow just yet. As you can see, field elevation is 800, so we need to be stabilized at just about 1300, which means we still have plenty of room left. Okay, let's have the power come down, speed come down as well. Landing flaps. And here we go, looks good to me. Now the autopilot's minimum use height is 800 feet, that means we gotta have to disconnect in a moment. Pretty much like now. And here we go. Okay then, the checklists are all complete. We've got the gear down. Well, anything else on this airplane would be pretty terrible anyway. And we've got the landing flaps. And that is all we need. So from here on, it's just going to be us and the airplane. Man, a little bit of turbulence here. And I believe we went through quite a thermal as well. You could see there how we initially had a pitch of like 7.5 degrees nose down, and then all of a sudden it went to 0. So that was certainly some thermals involved there. Okay, this is looking good. It's been a while since I've flown the ILS here in Kassel. However, look at that. We're right on the glide slope and it shows us the PAPI almost 4 reds. Not sure if the ILS is offset yet, but it does look like it to me. It certainly looks like it's guiding us maybe a little bit too early onto the runway, but I'm fine with that. Minimums, continue. After all, we are visual, so that's all that counts really. Alright, power idle. Let's make it a nice touch on the aiming point. And here we are. Okay then, onto the airport chart straight away. So, next taxiway should come anytime soon. The question is just, where about is it? So, let's go chart options, plan mode. That's a little bit easier if you ask me. Even though I'm pretty sure somebody is going to say that we're wasting far too much time on the runway, and I do somewhat agree with that. Should have taken the first exit, really. Okay then, off the runway we go. So let's quickly stop, and as you can see, I turned to the ground chart pretty soon, so that we don't have to worry about any early taxi instructions we might get. Okay then, clear the runway. I'm quickly going to stop the airplane over here and then run the after landing check. So that is going to be flaps up. Like that. Pitot heat is coming off. Fuel pump off. Alternate air closed. Taxi and landing light. I'm going to switch to taxi. And that's the end of the after landing checklist. Alright then. Off to the left, we've got the airliner parking and the terminal right in front of us. But we're gonna park over here in front of the control tower. So clear left side, clear right side. So we are going to go via Echo 3 and then park just in front over here. Those are some fancy looking buildings, aren't they? Okay, maximum wingspan 24 meters. Now that is not going to be a problem for us. And here we are. So, let's park in front of the Piper maintenance facilities over there. No better place to go with a Diamond aircraft, is there? Okay then. And off to the right hand side. Gonna park right in front of the building. And maybe taxi a tiny bit slower. I know that I'm going quite fast at the moment. Alright. And here we are. So, parking brake is set. Let's run the parking checks. Parking brake set. Power lever max 10% for 1 minute. Well, we basically had that. ELT check not activated. MFD engine page is checked and all of that looking good. Alright, avionic master off. Electrical consumers accept anti-collision light. Should be off as far as I can see, yep. Alright, engine master. Off. Oh, sorry, that's not what we've been looking for. This is the one. Engine master off. This is electric master, my mistake. Okay then, anti-collision light, strobe light off, electric master. Now we go ahead and go off. And the start key, well, can't pull that off in here. And that is the parking check complete. Alright, so I do hope that you like this one. I do certainly like the new Navigraph plugin for the G1000. The ability to import Simri flight plans is very nice, and the ability to have the charts readily available on the G1000 is as well. It once again adds one more piece of that lovely realism that we all like to the simulator, and that is exactly what I am looking for over here. Alright, finally, I would like to thank Navigraph very much for sponsoring the Navigraph charts shown in this video. And now I would like to say thank you guys very much for watching. Hope that you've enjoyed this one. Do let me know in the comments below, and I am very much looking forward to the next one. In the meantime, leave a like as it does help with the YouTube algorithms, and subscribe if you're up for more. And now I would like to say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and see you all again on the next one. Finally, if you really liked the video, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and see you all again very soon.